Encrypted documents, use of free and commercial tools for access to data. Encryption employs mathematical algorithms to transform data, referred to as plain text, into an unreadable format known as ciphertext. The sender and the recipient of the encrypted message establish a cryptographic key, which consists of a set of mathematical values that enables the recipient to decrypt the information. Encryption is an essential instrument for cybersecurity and data protection. It safeguards sensitive information from interception, whether it's stored in files or transmitted over networks. Additionally, encryption verifies that data or messages remain unchanged from their original form. Encryption is utilized across various sectors, such as banking, healthcare, government, e-commerce, and telecommunications. For instance, banks implement encryption to safeguard customer data and secure online transactions. In the healthcare sector, providers use encryption to protect patients' electronic health records. Similarly, governments employ encryption to secure classified information. Windows has its own encryption software and method. This is only present on Windows 10 Pro and above. The name is BitLocker. BitLocker is the embedded tool for encryption. It is one of the most common tools to encrypt hard drives, computers, and files. It works with an encryption key or a secure password that the user generates for the encryption to be passed. BitLocker can encrypt a computer, and it will also generate a password and a recovery key, so that in case that the password is lost, the recovery key can be used to access the system. When performing a physical image of an encrypted computer, the forensic software will also contain the encryption to the image, as it is on the device. We need to remember that it is a bit-by-bit copy. If encryption is present to the disk, the partition of the encrypted image will also be encrypted. To decrypt the image and get access to the file, the encryption recovery key will be required, and it should be entered in the forensic tool that is analyzing the data. The tool will provide the device ID, and then the recovery key will be required. Another solution for encrypted images is to mount the image. The password will be requested to gain access to the disk, and from there create a logical image of the full drive. This won't be a bit-by-bit copy, but this process can be followed on investigations that won't require bit-by-bit acquisition. Encryption software. The commercial software on the market for customer use are VeraCrypt. VeraCrypt is a free open-source disk encryption software for Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux. Brought to you by IDRIX, https www.idrix.fr, and based on TrueCrypt 7.1a. VeraCrypt main features: creates a virtual encrypted disk within a file and mounts it as a real disk. Encrypts an entire partition or storage device, such as USB flash drive or hard drive. Encrypts a partition or drive where Windows is installed, pre-boot authentication. Encryption is automatic, real-time, on-the-fly, and transparent. Parallelization and pipelining allow data to be read and written as fast as if the drive was not encrypted. Encryption can be hardware accelerated on modern processors. Provides plausible deniability in case an adversary forces you to reveal the password, hidden volume, steganography, and hidden operating system. BitLocker. BitLocker is a Windows security feature that provides encryption for entire volumes, addressing the threats of data theft or exposure from lost, stolen, or inappropriately decommissioned devices. BitLocker provides maximum protection when used with a Trusted Platform Module, TPM, which is a common hardware component installed on Windows devices. One important detail to consider is, in order to decrypt an encrypted drive or file, the same software will need to be present in the device that is encrypted and the device that wants to access the encrypted data. Chapter 4. Digital Data Extraction. Data extraction refers to the process of retrieving data from one format into a more useful format for further processing. This is an important distinction to keep in mind, as data extraction does not refer to the processing or analysis that might take place after the data itself is extracted. In some scenarios, you might extract similar datasets from two different sources. You would then have to review and process the extractions to make sure they are both formatted equally. There are almost endless ways in which data can be formatted. We will focus on two categories of data sources: digital and physical sources. Digital data is one of the most common sources of data in modern times. This refers to any kind of data that can live on file, either online or in devices' local storage. This includes more complex data structures, such as web pages and databases. Physical sources. Physical data usually exists in print or physical media. In this case, it refers to books, newspapers, reports, spreadsheets, invoices, and many more. Data extraction from physical sources is usually manual and more involved than extraction from digital sources. Data structures, the way you would go about extracting data, can change drastically depending on the source of data. The two types of data structures, structured and unstructured. Structured data is usually formatted in a way that fits the needs of your project, meaning you don't have to work on or manipulate the data on the source before extracting. Unstructured data refers to data sets that lack basic structure and need to be reviewed or formatted before one data extraction can occur. The different data extraction uses. Data extraction can be used in many different scenarios, the three main cases being for archival transfer or analysis. Archival. These cases refer to the use of data extraction to create new copies of the dataset for safekeeping or as backup. A common example is using data extraction to convert data from a physical format to a digital format in order to store with a higher degree of security. For transfer, it is very common for a user to use data extraction in order to transfer one dataset from one format to another without making changes to the data itself. For analysis, the most common use for data extraction is for data analysis. This refers to any insights that can be found from analyzing the data that was extracted. Digital data extraction involves retrieving information of various digital sources, such as a volatile memory in particular, to uncover evidence and insights in forensics investigations. General concepts of volatile memory analysis. Volatile memory is referred to as temporary memory. As a crucial component in the realm of computing, the temporary memory means that once the power source is disconnected, the data stored in temporary memory will disappear. There is also non-volatile memory, that the main characteristic is the opposite of the volatile memory. It stores data for extended periods of time. The characteristics of volatile memory are speed. The speed of data processing enables swift access to information, which is critical for the efficiency of executing software. Temporary storage. The characteristic is that the volatile memory won't retain power once it is lost. This will make it flexible and adaptable for various data storage solutions. Random accessibility. It offers random access to stored data. This will allow direct access from any location in the memory. This feature contributes to the efficiency and effectiveness of data retrieval. Various operations necessitate temporary data storage during user interactions with a computer system. The primary location for this temporary data is volatile memory, known as random access memory, RAM. It enables the computer's processor to read and write data swiftly, allowing for near-instant access when running programs, executing instructions, and processing information. Volatile memory is a type of computer memory that requires a continuous power supply to retain its stored information. In contrast to non-volatile memory, like hard drives or SSDs, which preserve data even when powered off, volatile memory loses its contents if the power is disrupted. This trait makes volatile memory particularly suitable for storing temporary data that needs to be accessed quickly and frequently during computer operation. The importance of volatile memory during an investigation is that the data contains active processes, network activity, and unsaved documents that won't be found in storage media locations. It is essential for real-time analysis during security incidents, to capture ongoing activities like browsers, chat data, banking access information, share information, etc. Volatility scale. The volatility scale classifies the data on how quickly it transients during the usage of volatile memory. It is a scale that will identify how quickly data is lost and how difficult it will be to recover, or if it's possible. Depending on this classification, the forensic analyst will decide the priority of the data acquisition during the investigation, especially on investigations that data with high volatility will matter for the purpose of the investigation. High volatility. High volatility data is data that changes fast in a small period of time. This volatile data is often stored in RAM memory. This data can be lost when the system is powered off, or the program that is using the data is closed. The content of the highly volatile data is active processes, current profile users' sessions, and documents that are not saved or recent changes to documents. On the network side, it stores IP information during data traffic, a specific connection between a P2P transfer, and in some cases the IP assigned by the DHCP that is not static. It is crucial to understand the high volatile data in an incident, to assess in real time the information that can be acquired during the investigation. Capturing memory dump should be critical on the investigation, to avoid losing users' data information. Medium volatility. This scale of volatility saves temporary data into different locations other than RAM. It can be defined as data that has a limited duration, influenced by factors like the operation or user activity. The location to store medium volatile data can be CPU cache or browser cache, but this data can be lost if it gets overwritten, once the device needs the space that is occupying on the system to store new data. It can provide context information for recent activities or changes to applications, but it will require prompt extraction due to its volatility. Low volatility. It is data that is stored for a long period of time, such as data written in a hard drive that will be lost only if it gets deleted and if the space on the disk is overwritten. This data is less likely to be modified. The data stored in databases or hard drives can be considered as low volatile data. This type of data is the primary source of an investigation, due to its nature of preservation of data. It can be accessed in different time frames without alteration, but if the system continues to be in use, it can result in a loss of data. Memory analysis of Windows systems. Memory analysis on Windows systems involves examining volatile memory, RAM, to collect evidence and insights regarding system activities at a specific point in time. This type of analysis is essential in digital forensics, especially when investigating security incidents, malware infections, or unauthorized access. The contents of RAM offer a real-time snapshot of the system's operational state, which includes running processes, applications and services that are currently active on the system, user activity, actions performed by users that might not be recorded in persistent storage, network connections, information about active and recently closed connections, including details about protocols and addresses. Key aspects. Process identification refers to the process of locating and analyzing all active processes within a memory. Each process represents an instance of an application or service currently running. Understanding system. State. Identifying which processes are active helps forensic analysts ascertain what the system was doing at the time of analysis. Malicious activity detection. Identifying unusual or unauthorized processes may indicate the presence of malware or other malicious activities. Memory dump analysis. Analysts can generate a memory dump using tools like Task Manager, Process Explorer, or specialized forensic tools, e.g., volatility, recall, etc. This dump captures a snapshot of all active processes and their statuses. Process attributes. Important attributes to examine include Process ID, PID, a unique identifier for each process. Executable path, the location of the executable file, which helps determine the legitimacy of the process. Command line arguments, parameters passed to the process that provide context about its purpose and activities. Handles and memory usage. Analyzing open handles and memory usage can help detect suspicious behavior, such as excessive resource consumption, typical of malware. User activity. User activity analysis involves recovering information about user interactions with the system that may not be saved to disk or may be ephemeral. Understanding user actions can provide valuable context in investigations, such as whether a user was aware of an attack or if unauthorized access took place. RAM may contain unsaved documents, open files, and clipboard contents, which are crucial for understanding user behavior. Identifying open documents. Applications like Microsoft Word or web browsers may retain data in memory, even if not saved. Analysts can employ memory analysis tools to locate and extract this data. Clipboard contents. The clipboard can hold copied data, potentially including sensitive information. Memory analysis can reveal its contents at the time of the memory dump. Session information. Information about user sessions, including currently logged-in users, active sessions, and recent login times, can be retrieved from memory. Recent files and activities. Forensic tools can identify recently accessed files or applications, providing insights into user behavior leading up to an incident. Dump structure. The memory dump represents a snapshot of the memory RAM at a specific moment. It is commonly generated by a Windows computer when there is a stop error or crash on the system. We call it blue screen or system crash. There are different types of memory dumps which contain different structures. Complete memory dump. It records all the contents of the system memory when the computer stops unexpectedly. This type of memory dump might contain data from the processes that were running when the event or stop happened, and this dump was collected. If you select to save a complete memory dump, the file must have enough space to hold all the physical RAM memory plus 1 megabyte. It will require a large amount of space to store the RAM memory data. Once another system failure or stop occurs, it will save another file of the same size, requesting the same amount of space. Kernel memory dump. This type of dump records only kernel memory during a crash event, allowing for faster processing when the system stops. Typically, kernel memory usage ranges from 150 megabytes on 32-bit systems to 2 gigabytes on 64-bit systems. The kernel dump includes memory that's allocated to the kernel and hardware abstraction layer, HAL, in Windows 2000 and later. Memory that's allocated to kernel mode drivers and other kernel mode programs. If a second problem occurs, the previous file will be overwritten by the next kernel memory dump, and another kernel memory dump will take its place. Small memory dump. It records the smallest set of information that helps to identify why the system stopped or crashed unexpectedly. The small memory dump will create 2 megabyte files, and it will allow multiple files to be created with a unique name and description. It will save files into a folder for easy identification. The small memory dump is a good solution when there is a space limitation, but due to its nature, the information that it provides is also limited. Additional errors that were not directly involved in the system, crash might not get recorded, but they can represent a possible cause of the system being stopped. The small memory dump will include the stop message and its parameters and other data, a list of loaded drivers, the processor context, PRCB, for the processor that stopped, the process information and kernel context, EPROCESS, for the process that stopped, the process information and kernel context, ETHREAD, for the thread that stopped, kernel mode call stack for the thread that stopped. A list of all small memory dump files is kept in the %systemroot% minidump folder. Data structure in the dump. In order to open dump files, it is recommended to download the Windows Development Kit tools located in https://developer.microsoft.com, NE/US, Windows, Downloads, Windows, SDK. This tool will help us to analyze dump files, to get to know its structure. The dump files, once it is open, it contains different information, such as file dump path, kernel version and search for space, name and version of the system, computer name, kernel base, system uptime, analysis button that will contain the following information: bug check analysis, debugging details, pool address, module name, image name, driver name or file that causes the stop, failure ID. Once the memory dump file is open, the analyst should interpret the data structure to identify the relevant information, such as processes ID, memory addresses, module names, bug check data, etc. To identify any suspicious activity, hardware, or software that might be malicious of the system, if present. RAM memory analysis. There are different techniques that can be used to perform the memory analysis. There is live memory analysis or post-mortem analysis. The live memory analysis refers to the process that can be executed when the system is still on and has not been rebooted or shut down. It contains the actual files and applications that the custodian was using when the investigation was presented to her. The key element is to take note of the date and time of taking ownership of the device and making sure to document it on the chain of custody. There are tools that can take a snapshot of the RAM memory. One of them is Magnet Response. Magnet Response does not require to be installed on the system and can take live information of the RAM memory. Simply open Magnet Response and agree to the terms and conditions. On the magnet response configuration page, there is an option to capture RAM memory, which should be selected along with any additional memory the technician wishes to capture. Once the capture process is complete, a file with the RAM information is created and can be preserved for further investigation. Once RAM is collected, it will create a memory dump file that can be opened with the Windows SDK, as mentioned before. Once it is open, we can start our analysis. We should identify the bug check analysis for unwanted applications or the causes of the dump, or if there is failure information, document and record the incident values and ID for further analysis. Analysis Laboratory. A digital forensics laboratory requires various tools and features to perform forensic tasks securely while ensuring data preservation. It should be equipped with the necessary tools for conducting the memory and information analysis. There are hardware and software requirements for a laboratory, an access control system to restrict access to sensitive data, and tools maintaining the integrity of the analysis. Redundancy and security backup should be in place, and a storage area for data secure preservation in place. The hardware requirements are dedicated workstations for analysis and data processing. The workstations should have enough processing, memory, and storage capacity to allow multiple tasks on an investigation at the same time. The workstation should be able to handle data processing and carving in different tools. Cables, connectors, and write blockers. It is important to create a toolkit of cables for different types of devices. There are external hard drives in different formats, USB-C external hard drives, SATA drives, and when it comes to mobile collections of different types of phone connectors. It is important to use write blockers to prevent data modification during acquisition. Software requirements. There are tools designated for data extraction. We have covered most of the free tools in the market that can be used to press and acquire data from live systems and volatile information. FTK Imager, Recall, Volatility, Magnet Response, Dump It, Process Explorer. All licenses and software should be validated to avoid tampering with the investigation or using unlicensed processing tools. Analysis tools. Analysis tools are essential for forensic investigation. They help to extract, analyze, and understand different content of memory and data. The most reliable tools in the market are FTK Imager. FTK Imager is a widely used forensic tool developed by Access Data. While it's primarily known for its disk imaging capabilities, it also includes features for memory acquisition and analysis. Key features: memory dump creation, FTK. Imager can capture memory dumps from live systems, enabling the collection of volatile data before it's lost. User-friendly interface. It offers an intuitive graphical user interface, GUI, that makes it accessible to users who may not be as familiar with command line tools.